Hello everybody, it's Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on December 6, 2025, and this beautiful mini original art rooster is painted by Erin McCowen. So I'm a little bit late on this, but let's get going. Does the CIA really pay people to gang stalk? And this is a question that was posed on Quora. One response is they allow X, a FBI, my favorite Bureau of Investigation, they allow ex FBI, military, and CIA to use their remote neural monitoring and surveillance infrastructure in exchange for invaluable human testing data and human trafficking mind-controlled sex slaves. They allow criminal elements with government advisors basically to do what they want to certain segments of the population as long as they follow protocol and work with the government to supply women and children for human trafficking. And this is for educational purposes only. So some of the responses were as follows. On one hand, you have the remote neural operators. They use a remote EEG monitoring and heterodyning system in which they can control people and share all sensations and senses. They will have someone sexually assault someone under hypnosis while partially controlling them and sharing in their sensations. And then there's the trafficking angle. They brain damage a victim over time with poison and directed energy weapons like vircators, VIRCATORS, making them highly susceptible to hypnotism. Then they use EEG heterodyning and V2K hypnosis to put them into a state where they can pimp them out to rapists. Then there are people who are victims of trauma-based mind control. These people are traumatized, usually as children. This creates multiple personalities, or DID. Individual identity states can then be programmed for sexual slavery and firewalled memory. Then somebody asked, when you say supply, can you better elaborate on that for me? Look up, quote unquote, the finders. The FBI and CIA use cult-like trafficking groups. I've been saying this for a long time. They use satanic ritual abuse to mind control women and children. Project Monarch figured out how to cause DID, fracturing a mind, and then program individual identity alters. They use it for sex slaves, assassins, and Manchurian candidates. It's essential for spying and blackmail operations. These groups sell kiddos, and it's allowed by the government. Isn't that amazing? Now, one person responds, I don't think that's the cause. They remove all political opponents and non-fitting people to their countries where only stupid and naive can live a happy life. Another person writes, some people troll and people take it seriously. The CIA usually doesn't. They have their evidence. They get the guy not to scare them. Scaring is done by the local police that act like an entity like the government to make them feel better. Most of these people are bullies, and they just need to make someone else feel bad. So then, and I just went to click on what I was going to read here. 1 second here. state-sponsored terrorism. State-sponsored terrorism refers to the support or backing given by a state to terrorist organizations or activities. This phenomenon has been a persistent threat to global security and international relations for decades. To understand the complexity of state-sponsored terrorism, it is essential to examine its historical context, the types of support provided by states, and its distinguishing features from other forms of terrorism. The use of terrorism as a tool of statecraft dates back to ancient times. However, modern state-sponsored terrorism began to take shape during the Cold War era. States like the Soviet Union and the United States supported various proxy wars and insurgent groups to further their geopolitical interests. In the 1970s and 80s saw a significant rise in state-sponsored terrorism, with countries like Libya and Syria and Iran backing terrorist organizations to destabilize their adversaries. And obviously here in the United States, targeted individuals are the adversaries. So what are the types of supports provided by states? States can provide various forms of support to terrorist organizations, like the FBI, the CIA, InfraGard, fusion centers, and Homeland Security, including financial assistance by providing funds to those groups and support their operations and activities, military training, offering training and military equipment, like directed energy weapons and all kinds of poisons and gases to enhance the capabilities of terrorist organizations. Like I've had grenades thrown on my driveway. In fact, one of them was thrown on my driveway during the live stream around midnight. And it is recorded and it is on my live. They also states provide a safe haven. They provide a safe haven for terrorist leaders and operatives to plan and coordinate their activities with your tax dollars. They provide diplomatic support using channels to promote the interests of these organizations or to shield them from international pressure. Then, of course, there's intelligence sharing. You know how that works, right? The fusion centers, sharing intelligence with these groups to help them target their enemies more effectively. That's what fusion centers do. They collect data from the FBI, the CIA, from law enforcement, and they collaborate and share all that information in your communities and spread the slanderous lies about you to get people to go along, to get along, to target you. So this is a diagram that illustrates the different types of support provided by states to these organizations. Let me show you. So now, distinguishing features and other forms of terrorism is very distinct from other forms due to the level of support and resources provided by the states. And this is what a lot of targeted people have been questioning, like, where is this money coming from? They spend millions of dollars on targeted people, because this is going on year after year after year and follows you across the United States to other countries. The backing of a state can significantly enhance the capabilities and reach of a terrorist organization. Some of the distinguishing features of a state-sponsored T includes scale and sophistication. State-sponsored T often involves more complex and sophisticated operations due to the resources and support provided by states. There's the level of planning, and we discussed this in a previous video about premeditated premeditated, organized planning is a weapon. It's illegal. State-sponsored tea typically involves a higher level of planning and coordination, often with the involvement of state intelligence agencies. Then there's the global reach. State-sponsored tea can have a global reach with states supporting tea organizations in multiple regions. State-sponsored tea has far-reaching implications for global security, international relations, and humanitarian consequences. The impact can be seen in various aspects, including but not limited to effects on global security and international relations, humanitarian consequences, and civilian impact. State-sponsored tea can often result in significant humanitarian consequences, including the loss of life, displacement of people, and the destruction of infrastructure. Civilians are often the primary victims of state-sponsored tea, with these organizations targeting non-combatants to achieve their objectives. So I'm going to end on that note. So so when people are asking, where's the money coming from to do this? Well, first off, also the Department of Justice, through grant programs, will fund every state that applies for a grant for the COPS program. You know, the Citizens on Patrol. I call them the criminals on patrol. Citizens on Patrol. So the Department of Justice will grant money to the states, and then the states will liberally trickle that money down to all of their towns and cities for the COPS program or for other nefarious acts. Like here in Jackson County, Kentucky, they're spending an awful lot of money targeting me. They've been trying to steal my property by depreciating it, using energy weapons on the property, lasers, drones to burn the grass, dropping this gooey kerosene mold on the grass to cause the grass to die, create slippery conditions. It's not normal mud. They're drilling holes in the ground, multiple, to intentionally flood the property. They've literally changed the incline slope of some of my property. They've been targeting the trees with directed energy weapons, rotting them from the inside out, drilling holes in trees, and spreading a witchcraft everywhere. And for those people who listened to a previous video or my post that they stole my pajama bottoms, just for the record, they never materialized. And I realized if they stole my pajama bottoms on the full moon, so they were likely using my bottoms, my pajama bottoms, in some of their full moon rituals, because these people are sexual perverts. So on that note, on that happy note, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome newcomers. Thank you for subscribing, hitting the notifications bell, and I will talk to you guys soon. I've got a couple of videos lined up, and we'll keep them going.